Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. What a weird intro. Sorry. I think I'm live. I never know if I am or not, but I think I am. I will stop starting the stream like this, I promise. I'm still getting used to it. But yeah, well, firstly, I very nearly cancelled today's live because I'm ill, basically. I've got man flu. Actually, it's not man flu. It's there's a bug going around our house, which my girlfriend got, then our son got, and obviously I've picked up as well. Obviously, during the busiest week of the year for me, that's just that was always going to happen, wasn't it? So, apologies for my gravelly voice. It really sounds gravelly on this mic. If I suppose if all else fails, I could get into the whole movie trailer work, couldn't I? In a world. I could do all that sort of stuff. Anyway, so thanks for joining on the live stream. If you have done, this might be a bit of a strange one. And if you're watching this in the future, hello as well. And don't forget, please, if you get chance to subscribe to my Substack newsletter list, which is in the description. Every Friday, I send out a newsletter, a written newsletter, which kind of gives a few behind the scenes tips and tricks and learnings and stuff. And this week, tomorrow, I'm talking about dedicated videos, so dedicated sponsorships, which is a really interesting topic because it's this thing where, as a creator, you can make a lot of money with dedicated sponsored videos, but equally, they're very risky. And I've made mistakes with them. I still make mistakes with them occasionally, but I've learned a lot as well. So tomorrow's newsletter on Substack is a bit about that. Also, if you enjoy this, you don't have to do it yet, but if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. That always really helps the channel. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button and the bell and all that stuff. Right, that's all my call to actions done. As always with this format, I'm starting with a topic which I want to talk about, and then after that we'll go into some Q&As. Depending on how long I last, if I keel over halfway through this, then don't worry about it. Go and do something else. But hopefully I'll try and get to the end of this without keeling over. But yeah, again, apologies for this very deep voice, which sounds really deep on these headphones. Right. Anyway, so what I thought, I've cheated a bit today, to be honest, guys. I'm a bit late to the party getting this sorted. Partly because another reason I think I'm partly ill is because there's just so much stuff going on at the moment. So I've been working a lot, and I'm fully aware of trying, avoiding reaching burnout, don't worry. But like I say, it is the busiest week of the year for my industry and in the other side of what I do in terms of tech reviews and stuff because of what Apple has done this week. So I've been making lots of videos this week. So it's left little room really to plan for this live. So I have cheated a little bit and just basically thought, what can I do that might be a bit of a laugh and can be a bit off the cuff? So I thought, let's use ChatGPT and ask it a question basically, and then have me respond to the answers it gives us. I did this with the iPhone on the Mark Ellis Reviews channel. So I asked it to give me some things that only iPhone owners know, and it was marginally interesting. Hopefully, I managed to make a video out of it, which is fantastic. So I thought I'd do the same thing here, and let me just share my screen. So I've got ChatGPT open here. I've not done this yet, so I've literally just written out the question for it. I haven't pressed enter, so this is completely off the cuff. May not even work. As you may know, with AI, it can be a bit hit and miss. It can either be brilliant or completely underwhelming. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. If it doesn't work out, we'll just go straight to questions. But let's give it a go. So basically, I've asked ChatGPT to give me 10 things which explain what it's like to be a YouTuber to someone who doesn't know what's involved in being a YouTuber. Now I've read that back. That's quite a convoluted way of asking that question, but who cares? It's AI. It will understand what I'm talking about, hopefully, and give me an answer. So let's see what these 10 things are. Let me have a quick drink first. I might be drinking is water, I promise. I might be drinking water more regularly during this particular live stream, just to keep my vocal cord in some kind of shape. Right, let's click on the little green thing. See what it says. Right, let's move that. Okay, so I've not done this. This is completely fresh for me. So I'm just going to respond to this because I am a YouTuber and I know what it's like to be a YouTuber by now. Well, at least I hope I do anyway. He says, okay, it's giving some very long answers here, which is, I was hoping for like single sentence answers. as is always the case, it's gone to town. Okay, well, let's just go through them fairly quickly. So, 1, creativity and content creation. As a YouTuber, one of the key aspects is creating original and engaging content. This involves brainstorming ideas, planning, scripting, filming, and editing videos to make them visually appealing and entertaining. Yeah, that is being a YouTuber, isn't it? That is exactly being a YouTuber. Doc is asking if this is GPT-4. No, it's not. It's whatever the free one is. I don't pay for ChatGPT yet, so it's the whatever the free version is. It's the May 24 version apparently. Um, so yeah, well, that content, yeah, being a YouTuber is about being creative and doing all that stuff. I think that what that does reveal actually is that most YouTubers do all of that stuff themselves. There are obviously several YouTubers out there to put to put no finer point on it that do have teams. And I do have people that help me with certain things, but generally speaking, when it comes to production, I do pretty much everything. And you become this like kind of like mini production house on your own. So you do, like, as it says, you do the brainstorming, you do the planning, you do the scripting, the filming, the editing. It's down to you to do everything. And this is quite timely actually, because even though I'm not particularly top of the game at the moment, I have had to come into the studio every single day this week and make videos, because if I don't do that, no one's going to make them. If I didn't turn up and turn the camera on this afternoon, this wouldn't have happened either. So yeah, that is spot on, ChatGPT. Number 2, consistent upload schedule. Successful YouTubers often maintain a regular upload schedule, which means creating and uploading content on a consistent basis. This requires discipline and time management to meet deadlines and keep viewers engaged. Again, spot on, and it is probably one of, if not the hardest things about being a YouTuber, which is being consistent. I've got to that stage now where I'm comfortable being consistent, if that makes sense. So I don't worry about it. I never go into a week thinking, "Oh no," apart from with this video, this particular live. But in terms of pre-recorded, edited, polished videos, I never go into a week thinking, "What on earth am I going to make a video about this week?" I do plan ahead. So I think as long as you plan ahead, and as long as you always push yourself to get in front of the camera and just do it, you will be consistent. But it doesn't really get any easier at all. I mean, this week for me has been particularly challenging because I've been struggling with my voice and just feeling absolutely wiped out. So the last thing I've wanted to do this week is sit in front of a camera and waffle on about iPad OS and, you know, Apple Vision Pro and all this sort of stuff. It's just been the last thing I've wanted to do, but I've had to, because if I don't do it, like I mentioned a moment ago, no one else is going to do it. So you just have to crack on. You just have to go. So consistency is so important. Completely agree with that. 3, audience interaction. Interacting with your audience is crucial as a YouTuber. This involves responding to comments, engaging in discussions, and taking feedback into consideration. Building a loyal community requires building relationships with viewers. Absolutely. This is spot on, isn't it? I mean, it was always going to be, wasn't it? It's fairly, surface level stuff, but it's good stuff to talk about. So yeah, I mean, audience interaction is really important. And I think I've talked about this before on one of these lives, where basically YouTube doesn't care whether a comment is positive or negative. If it's horrible, they will filter it out for you. But if it's a positive or a negative comment, it doesn't matter. As far as YouTube's concerned, that is good engagement. And a great example of this is I've done this occasionally myself. But there's a few YouTubers out there. I can't name any in particular, but I know they are. I know there are rather, who will purposefully mispronounce things or get facts wrong, or do something. If they're sharing their screen, for instance, they might have a folder with a really iffy name on the folder, just to really spark interest. The reason they do this is because that gets people to comment. So if you mispronounce something, people will jump on it immediately. I've done this a lot, without, yeah, not intentionally, obviously. If the whole Linux/Linux thing, if you get that wrong, then people jump on you. But if they do jump on you, that's amazing for your content and for the interaction on your channel. And YouTube does pick up on that. It knows that this video has got loads of comments, and like I say, it doesn't care what those comments consist of. And the whole thing of interacting with the audience, bear with me. I knew this was going to happen. The whole thing about interacting with the audience is one of the biggest challenges you'll have as your channel grows. So as mine has grown, I've found it harder and harder to keep up with comments, and that's not me boasting, it's just the fact that the more views you get, my channel does anywhere between 700 to a million views a month, 700,000, sorry, to a million views a month. So you can imagine how many comments that generates every day, every week. It's very difficult to respond to all of them, so I physically can't do that. And I don't believe in paying someone to do that because it's not me. So I do miss out on a lot of content, comments. I do miss out on a lot of engagement because of that. But I'm trying to get better at responding more as much as I can because it really is important. Okay, number 4. Equipment and technical skills. YouTubers need to be familiar with various types of equipment, such as cameras, microphones, and editing software. Learning the technical aspects of recording and editing videos is essential for producing high quality content. Learning the technical aspects of I'm glad it's put that because what it hasn't said is buying expensive cameras and mics, etc., is essential for producing high quality content. What it's saying is learning the technical aspects. So no matter how cheap or expensive your camera is, if you don't know how to use it and you don't know the differences between ISO and aperture and all that sort of stuff, then your videos aren't going to look very good. And that does matter to a degree. Same thing with audio. If your audio stinks, then people aren't going to bother listening to you at all or watching you. So I'm glad it's kind of made that distinction between the technical aspects versus the need to have expensive gear. But you do need technical skills. I mean, you can technically just use your phone, and that is pretty much plug and play. You turn it on, you hit record, and away you go. As long as I've always said, as long as the story is good and you've got the right target niche, then you'll be fine. But it does help to have some technical knowledge, particularly when it comes to editing. You do need to know what you're doing there. Absolutely. Number 5, SEO and channel optimization. Understanding search engine optimization, SEO, is important to reach a wider audience. YouTubers need to optimize video titles, descriptions, tags, and thumbnails to increase visibility and attract viewers to their content. I agree with that to a degree. So, optimizing video titles is very important. The description is pretty important, but not massively important. Tags, we believe, don't matter these days. There's a lot of well, there used to be a lot of discussion about tags. It's kind of died off now because no one cares. But the theory now is that tags aren't really looked at by YouTube. I still use tags, but just because why not? And thumbnails, very important. But yeah, thumbnails are incredibly important. But the SEO thing, I talked about this. Was it on this? I think I did. Did I do it on a live stream? I think the last live stream, I think it was about SEO on my website, where I talked about the fact that I don't put a lot of effort into SEO on my website at all, yet it still ranks very highly for certain pieces of content. I just apply common sense. And it's the same thing with YouTube. Common sense generally wins the day. And what I mean by that is that as long as you're making a video that includes words that could be considered keywords. So if I'm making a video about, like, for instance, one of this weekend's videos is about my favorite MacBook Air accessories. Now, within that video, I'm going to mention the phrase MacBook Air accessories quite a bit without thinking about it. And YouTube is clever enough to know that I've done that within the video. So that's one thing that I think that a lot of people perhaps don't realize, which I don't think ChatGPT is caught up on here, but is that YouTube watches your videos. It knows what is in your videos. This is all through AI and machine learning, etc. But it can recognize people, it can recognize obviously words, etc. It can transcribe everything. So what's in your video is far more important than what's in the description. The title and the thumbnail are very, very important, but I'd never get too hung up on classic kind of traditional SEO tactics in the description. It's not really worth it. The content is what matters. It's make the right content, and if you do that, YouTube will help you out, basically. Right, number 7, here we go. Monetization and revenue streams. Many YouTubers aim to monetize their channels to generate income. This can be done through various revenue streams, such as advertisements, sponsorships, brand deals, merchandise sales, and crowdfunding platforms. By advertisements, I think it means AdSense, which is the kind of classic, the ads that appear at the start of and during YouTube videos. If you become a partner on the YouTube partner program, which you can do after 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time. Once you do that, you then get a share of the ad revenue from those ads. The problem with that is that it goes all over the place. Basically, you cannot rely on AdSense. It's different month to month. You can't really predict it. Although there are peaks and troughs which are fairly consistent throughout the year. That doesn't mean you're going to make the same amount of money this September that you made last September. So it's completely out of your control. And because of that, quite rightly, ChatGPT has highlighted that you do need things, to aid that really. So sponsorships and brand deals are the same thing. Merchandise, possibly. I don't know what it means by crowdfunding platforms. I'm not sure why you'd use a crowdfunding. I wouldn't personally. I'm not selling any kind of product that needs crowdfunding. Yeah, answers on a postcard for that one, guys. Number 8, analytics and data analysis. Monitoring and analyzing video analytics is essential to understand audience engagement, preferences, and trends. This helps YouTubers make informed decisions about content strategy, audience targeting, and future video ideas. Totally right. And this is one area where I'm desperately trying to get better. So for the last 3 years, I've not spent much time in YouTube Studio in terms of the analytics side of it at all. And that's a crying shame. It's a crime, really, because there's so much, it's not literally a crime, by the way, don't report me. But there's so much data in there. One of the best things about YouTube is that I think it's probably the richest source of data for creators. You don't get the same thing from Medium, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. None of those platforms give you as much data as YouTube does. Part of the reason for that is because YouTube has the data on its audience, which is another subject entirely. But selfishly, that is very, very good data. And beyond the audience, the number of metrics that you can pull out about video performance is mind-blowing. I just don't put enough time into it. And ChatGPT is right. If you do put time into it, you can make better informed decisions about your future content, about audience targeting, etc. I can guarantee that I'm missing out on certain opportunities because of this. And it is a time thing. It's one of those things that I'm probably going to have to seek some help with in terms of getting someone who really understands the analytical side of things. I think part of the issue here is that I'm not massively into numbers. I think I've said before that I'm far more into words than I am numbers. And as much as I don't mind throwing the odd spreadsheet together occasionally, it's always a bit of a chore. And I think I probably take that mindset into the whole analytics thing for YouTube. So that's my excuse anyway. But I do need to get better, absolutely. Right, number 9, time commitment and patience. Building a successful YouTube channel takes time and perseverance. It can take months or even years to gain a substantial subscriber base and start seeing significant growth. Being patient and dedicated is crucial during the initial stages. Yeah, again, bang on. And I think a great example of this is the fact that it took me 3 years and however many videos it was, I can't think what it was, to reach the 100K subscriber mark and get my silver play button, which is on the wall over there now. 3 years, and that's of publishing at least one and pretty much at least 2 videos every single week. And some of those videos doing very well, some of them not doing very well at all. And yeah, just plowing on again and again, keep returning, doing it again, going back, going forward. It's a complete not train. It's very much a factory in that respect. But perseverance is such a good word to use for this, really. And a lot of, and I can never remember what the stat is, but there's a lot of YouTube channels that fail. It's a big percentage because people do lose faith in the whole process and they just lose interest because they're not getting anywhere. And what I've found with content creation is that there's not really a tipping point, because that suggests that you get to a point where nothing's happening, then suddenly, whew, and then it stays up there. That isn't really how it works. It's much more gradual than that. But you do find after a while that your audience starts to build, and it starts to build a bit more consistently. And it gets to a stage where it's big enough and you're getting enough views consistently, and enough incoming kind of comments and engagement to suggest that what you're doing is being watched by a fairly big group of people who like what you do. And I think when you get to that stage, you're onto a winner. You just carry on, and the numbers then don't matter as much really, because you've established an audience, and everything that comes on top of that is a bonus. And certainly reaching the 100K for me, everything that comes beyond this point is a bonus. You know, I want to get the audience for Mark Ellis Reviews. I want to build as big as possible. It's not quite the same strategy with this channel, with Solo Club. I want this to be a smaller, more niche channel. Audience. But when it comes to the reviews channel, that has to be as big as possible. But having said that, the 100K thing was a great milestone, and I don't feel too much pressure now to get to 200 or 500 or a million. If that comes, great. But I've got to a point now where I've got a very solid audience, and for me, it's not enough, but it's certainly comforting, if that makes sense. Excuse me. Mike says, "Did I miss point 6?" Probably. I did, yeah. Sorry, Mike. Good spot. Number 6, going back, marketing and promotion. Promoting your channel and videos is crucial to gaining visibility and attracting new subscribers. This involves utilizing social media platforms, collaborating with other YouTubers, and exploring different marketing strategies to increase your reach. Yeah, there's a lot of marketing involved in running a YouTube channel, actually, more than you realize, more than I realized, actually. And it's something that you only really get to grips with as you get into your probably 3rd or 4th year. Because before that, all you're doing is making videos and publishing them. You're not thinking too much about collaborating, or utilizing social media platforms properly. I suppose 2 examples of this. One of them is the collaboration. So I've worked with a few creators actually, but probably the biggest, most visceral example of that is the stuff I've done with Patrick Rambles, where I went to Brussels, went to his studio, and from that we've ended up with a video for him, a video for me, and a podcast for me as well. So 3 pieces of content. The video that he made, the collaboration video, which is on his channel, where we both compare our iPad mini setups, I think is approaching 90,000 views now. And it's tricky to work out how much of an influx that's had in terms of the audience for me, but it's certainly helped, and it's helped get my brand out there more. It's just worked brilliantly, really. So that's really important. The other thing is social media, using social media to your advantage. The way that I do that has changed a bit over the last year or so. But the most obvious example of this is creating short form content from my longer form videos. So now pretty much every video that goes onto YouTube for Mark Ellis Reviews is split up into 4, 5, 6, sometimes more shorts. So I have someone who does this for me. I give him the video and say, look, here's the rough timestamps. Make some shorts from this from me. And he goes away. He does a really, really good job at it, puts captions and stuff on. And those shorts are then put onto YouTube as shorts, but also onto Instagram as reels, and then onto TikTok as TikTok videos. And the impact that can have in terms of people, inbound traffic into your YouTube channel is quite dramatic, actually. A great example of this was the video that I published on Tuesday this week, which was my reaction to the Apple Vision Pro, their new product. I did the YouTube video, which went on and hasn't done too bad. I think it's had about 12,000 views or something, which is pretty good for one of those reaction videos. They tend to do worse than that normally. I did the same thing with that. So I gave that to my editor and said, look, give me 5 or 6 shorts from this, and let's get them out quickly because it's a very hot topic. So he did that, got them back. And one of them, which is basically me laughing at Vision Pro, just saying that the eyes look funny, and all this sort of stuff. That's gone to TikTok, along with several other videos. And to date, it has done, this went on yesterday. So it's only been on less than 24 hours. It's done 267,000 views, and it's had nearly 4,000 likes, 486 comments, which I've had a bit of fun with, and 179 bookmarks, or whatever they call it. But over 250,000 views, completely eclipsed the YouTube video. But what that's done is opened that clip of that video to a massive audience, a completely different audience and in a completely different format, but a massive audience. And obviously if you go into TikTok, if you look at my TikTok profile, my call to action on there is the YouTube channel. It basically mentions that I have 100,000 subscribers on YouTube. Here's the link to my YouTube channel. And you do get people coming across. So that's a great example of a very simple example of taking a long form piece of content and then chopping it up, putting it on a different platform and letting that platform do the work for you. There's very little work involved in that. It took my editor for that particular short, it probably took the editor 10 minutes or something like that. And we've got 250,000 views out of it. So that's, yeah, really important. I'm on number 10. I'm a bit worried that I'm missing stuff out now. I think I am on number 10. I don't think I've missed anything out. Number 10 is balancing personal and online life. Being a YouTuber often means blending personal and online life. Sharing aspects of your life on a public platform can sometimes blur the line between personal and professional boundaries, and managing privacy becomes an important consideration. I'm really careful with this. So, another drink. Hang on, sorry. I am very careful with this. So that you don't see much of my personal life on Markerless Reviews. The most you see really is my dog. So Eddie, my border terrier, who turned 14 last week, unbelievably. He occasionally makes a cameo on the channel just because, well, he's my dog, but also people love dogs and it always helps. So he appeared at the end of the Vision Pro video. If you've not seen that, he's right at the end of it. Because I had him in the studio basically, and I made a point of him being there and said, look, he has a habit. Now he's a bit old and a little bit senile, bless him. He does have a habit of barking randomly. He didn't, bless him. He did really well. So I thought I'd just kind of show him at the end. But he's pretty much the only thing you see of my personal life. You do see my house occasionally. That has featured in several videos in terms of TV reviews and the HomePod at home review. But you've never seen my girlfriend, you've never seen my parents, you've never seen my sister, my brother-in-law, my mates, and that is a very conscious decision. And there are there's lots of YouTubers in my field, in tech land, who do share that stuff. You do regularly see their partner, you regularly see their friends, which again, that's entirely their choice. That's obviously intentional, or they just don't care. What is the reason that I don't do it? It's nothing. I'm not. I suppose one of the things. I mean, you definitely don't see my son. I would never want to put my son on YouTube. I mean, and also to clarify, he's just turned 1, so he's still a tiny baby. It's not. I'm not really worried about my nearest and dearest, because there's not much that can happen really. I mean, this might be me being naive, but if they appear on a YouTube video, what's the worst that can happen? They might get a few troll comments, which I can shield them from, which is the main thing. So I'm not too worried about that. I mean, obviously, revealing where you live, that's something I don't want to do. I think it's just I want to keep it separate, and I think this number 10, this is quite a good one to finish on. Actually, it's a great example. It's a really really well made point actually that blurring that line between professional boundaries and personal boundaries, that is a problem in any kind of work. But I think when your work is so public, everything I do, well, most of the stuff I do ends up on the internet and anyone can watch it. I think when that's the case, for me personally, and it is a very personal decision, everyone's different, I want to keep back that stuff basically. I don't think I'll ever change that. I think it'll always be like that. And for instance, my girlfriend's got no interest in coming on the channel at all. I mentioned to her this week that because of this voice, she may have to step in and do some voiceover work, and she said, no thanks. So but I don't blame her either. I think that's a pretty good effort from ChatGPT. Like I say, fairly, it's not kind of nothing amazing in there. It's all fairly obvious stuff, but I think it got me talking. That's the main thing. Right, guys, let's. I don't know how much longer I can talk for, but questions, Q&As. We haven't got a huge number of people on the live stream today. One thing I'd love to know is when is the best time to do these live streams. One of the best attendances I've had recently was on a Saturday morning. A couple of weeks ago, I did it. I think it was 9 o'clock. Saturday morning at the UK time, and we had about 30 people on at one point, which was great for this. So I'd love to know what works in terms of timings. I'll keep experimenting. Right, let me have a look. I think we've only got 2 people on. I think we have Doc Iamidi, I'm guessing, and possibly who's here? I have 2 people watching. Who oh, is it Nick? Mike. There's 3 people now. Anyway, I'll stop waffling on. Let's get some questions before I have to go and lie down in a darkened room. Mike always has good questions. Does anything specific determine the length of your videos? No, not at all. It's intuition really these days. Most videos that I make are anywhere between 8 to about 12 minutes long. 12 minutes is a long video for me these days. I try and stick below that 10-minute barrier, but I don't do it consciously. It just happens really. I think through the editing process, you inevitably end up with an 8-minute, 9-minute, 10-minute video. Yeah, there's nothing really nothing that determines it. I think because I've got the process down so well, I think the writing process, because it follows each video follows the same format basically. I know roughly how long the intro needs to be, how long the main value section needs to be, and how quickly I need to sign it off basically. So it tends to work out fine, really, Mike. But again, that comes with practice, really. Let's have another one from Mike. Through your YouTube journey, has there been anything that just hasn't worked? Loads of stuff. Anything that hasn't worked? Certain video topics, I suppose. There's been certain things that I've made videos about that, and this is quite a good lead into tomorrow's Substack newsletter where I talk about dedicated videos where the topic just hasn't worked, basically. I'm trying to think of an example. I did a video on, it was a controller for was it not the Steam Deck, the other one that isn't the Loop Deck, I think it was. I did a Loop Deck review, which is this little controller that you can use with Final Cut Pro to make editing easier and a bit more tactile. That absolutely bombed. It was a dedicated video. They paid for it, but it did so badly, and it didn't even do badly and then do a bit better over time. It's just remained terrible. And that's an example of something where I had a lot of people saying I thought a lot of people saying to me, when can you show us your editing process? And what I did with that dedicated video was take that controller, make it the main theme of the video, but use it to show how I do my video edits. And that was quite a long, I think it was about a 20-minute long video. And I really enjoyed making it. I think it's a really good video. Even if I say so myself, it's a genuinely good video, but it just didn't work. So that's an example, Mike, of something that hasn't worked. There's been loads of other things. I'm trying to think what else. Is there anything technical that hasn't worked? I can't even think of anything specific, but if it comes to mind, I'll come back to that. But every day I probably try something that doesn't work, to be honest, Mike. CDN student. How did your gaming video do? This is Nick. I'm sure Nick won't mind me saying his real name. A very long-standing member of the Discord server. How did your gaming video do from recently? That's a good question. Let's have a look. So I did a review of the Logitech G Cloud, which is this kind of handheld cloud gaming thing. Brilliant product, actually, really good. Wasn't a paid video, wasn't dedicated, it wasn't a sponsored dedicated video. They just sent me it. They sent me it under embargo, so I had time to play with it before it was released in this country. Let's have a look. What's it doing? It didn't perform very well to begin with. It did very badly. Let's have a look. Where are we? God, time moves so quickly, doesn't it? It's done 3,500 views, 3.4K. It was 2 weeks ago. 132 thumbs up, 24 comments. It's a fairly low performing video, to be honest, but I'm not surprised because it's the first gaming thing I've ever made. I had a similar thing once with the TV review that I did, a Hisense TV review that I did towards the end of last year, I think it was. That started off like that, very badly. But over time, it's really picked up, and I think it's done something like 20,000 views now. So that's a great example of a video that can go like that. But it won't be the last piece of gaming content I make, I promise. Phil, you'd be interested in the Loop Deck video. It's quite easy to find, actually. Phil, if you just go to Marcellus Reviews, you should do a quick search and find it. I'm just looking through to see what other questions we have. Let's have a look. What have I missed? Oh, Kevin Hawthorne was joining us from Lakeland in Florida. So jealous. Let's have a look. Any more questions, guys? Mike's got another one. What is the best piece of advice you've been given? Um, if you mean ever or in this realm, I don't know, but the best piece of advice I've ever been given, I think of it quite a lot. Ironically, was from my old boss, and it was the guy that owned and ran the business that I worked at for nearly 17 years. I kind of went from boy to man. It was that kind of thing. Ended up on the board as the sales and marketing director, but started as the as a technical support guy. But I won't name him, but I always remember him saying to me, "Follow your nose." In business, basically, and it's such a simple piece of advice, isn't it? Ironically, unfortunately for him, me following my nose led to me leaving that business eventually and starting this and ending up here, basically. But the only reason I've ended up doing this and the only reason I'm standing here now talking to you guys is because I've just kept following my nose. A bit cheesy, but so that's the best piece of advice I've been given generally. In terms of this side of things, the best piece of advice, uh, let me think. I can't think of anything specific, but a lot of people have told me just to be myself, basically. It's very tempting to emulate other people on YouTube, and you can be inspired by people. I mean, my content is inspired by a lot of different people. If you look at it, there's all sorts of people thrown into there, but I do. I am myself, basically, and that seems to have worked. And I think that's definitely been a piece of advice that several people have given me over the last 2 or 3 years. Rob. Rob says, "Do you keep a close eye on your back catalog rather? Over time, the views go up, or presumably on older videos as your subs go." I don't really. Occasionally, I'll scroll back. If I'm having a week where I'm thinking, "Oh, views are down at the minute," I might just go into YouTube Studio and just scroll back and remind myself that I can make videos that can have big numbers. I genuinely do that. I think a lot of YouTubers do that, but I don't do it obsessively. Really, I don't tend to. I might do it if I need to think. If I'm looking back and thinking, if I've got if I've got a video idea and I'm thinking, will it work? I might go back and look for similar videos just to get an idea of how they've performed. But your back catalog can really surprise you. Actually, if you ever do that, if you ever do go back and just start scrolling through, you might find 2 or 3 videos. That High Sense TV video review is a great example of that, which really surprise you. You think, wow, I remember that being a 10 out of 10, and now it's had 30,000 views, and because somewhere along the line, it's just spiked. And y sometimes you'll see that in comments. So you'll see a raft of comments coming through against an older video, and you'll think, well, why are people suddenly commenting on that video? If you go back and look at that video, I can almost guarantee it will have had a spike in views for some reason, whether it be an event that's happened that has kind of drawn attention to it, and who knows? But yeah, I don't pay a huge amount of attention to it, Rob. But it's nice occasionally just to kind of scroll through it. Mike, what can you do to stand out in a busy niche? Again, just be yourself, Mike. I think if you are, there's only one of you basically, and I think even if you feel nervous doing that, and even if when you first start, the whole, it's all a bit kind of thrown together and gaffer taped together, and it doesn't come across very well. The more you just keep doing it and keep being yourself and not trying to be someone else, the more you'll create. You'll just naturally create a very unique persona on YouTube. That's all I've done really. I've just kept doing that, and it's kind of worked. So just be yourself. Don't try and stand out. That's what I'm saying really. If you try and stand out, you won't stand out because you'll end up trying to do what other people are doing basically, or chasing trends, which is one of the worst things that you can do. Um, how do you deal with those scam/bot comments that impersonate and say you one random thing, contact me on Telegram, that show on everyone's videos? They've pretty much gone from my videos now, I think. If you've ever seen them, let me know. The reason they've gone from my videos is because I reached out to YouTube and said, "Help! This is getting ridiculous now. It's getting to the point where every week someone's emailing me and saying, I thought it was you. I sent some money. Horrible." And people were genuinely falling for it. And it was getting that ridiculous where I was leaving comments on my own videos responding to people, and then a spam version of me would reply to me saying, "Congratulations, Mark, you've won a prize." Yeah, just utterly ridiculous. So I reached out to the creator liaison, who's Rene Ritchie, and fair play to him. He got back to me straight away and said, "Look, we're developing this beta version of the spam filter, which should cut off those comments at source. Do you want to get involved?" So I did, and that was ages ago. That was 3 or 4 months ago. I've forgotten about it, to be honest, and it has worked as far as I'm aware anyway. So they are doing something about it, hopefully, because it was terrible. That unbelievable. Uh, Lots of people coming in now, which is awesome. People talking about the Apple event. I know. I mean, probably not the place for that. I was going to do a live stream actually on the Marco's Reviews channel on Monday night until I realized that I'd never done a live stream on the Marco's Reviews channel. And this is a good piece of advice, actually. If you want to live stream on YouTube, you have to turn it on within YouTube Studio, but it takes 24 hours for some reason. I have no idea why, to enable that live streaming. So I turned it on Monday night, and then it said, "You've got 23 hours and 59 minutes until you can live stream." And I was like, great, I can't do that then. So anyway, that's off on a tangent. Guys, have we got any more questions before I head off and try and repair my voice? It's lasted this long, which I'm quite impressed by. Here's another one here. The more videos you post, the better, apparently. Is there a saturation point with this? Not really. I think I've published a lot of videos over the last few months. Like this week, for instance, I think there's 4, nearly 5 videos possibly that I've been working on within 7 days. But they're all different. They're all on different subjects, and they have to be made either because of a sponsor requirement or because of WWDC, if it's Apple related. There's only a saturation point, I think, if you stick on the same topic for too long. So if I made roughly the same video about iPadOS 17 5 times, that's probably going to be enough. That's probably too many. That probably is the saturation point. As long as you're making different videos, what I found with YouTube is that I was always worried, basically, that doing any more than 2 videos a week would get on people's nerves, and it would be too much of me, and they'd unsubscribe or just ignore me. That doesn't happen. The one thing I've learned is that you could probably publish a video every day, and as long as it's good content, it will get the views. Okay, some people may kind of fall out of love with you for that because you're too regular, but they can just ignore it. They don't have to watch those videos. They can pick and choose what they want. So the only saturation point comes if, like I say, you keep publishing the same video, just slightly tweaked, basically. Phil says, "I was going to say you sound different." I'm ill, basically, Phil. Bit of man flu, touch of the man flu. It's amazing what it does to your voice. It doesn't hurt. I mean, I'm waking up every morning with a horrible sore throat at the moment. That's been the worst thing. And the other worst thing is that I've not gone to the gym. I've been walking to and from the studio to try and get some exercise, but I hate the way illness disrupts everything. I hate not being able to or wanting to go to the gym. So I'm going to force myself to the gym tomorrow morning unless I feel awful. I'm hoping today is the worst day, really. We'll see. Okay, guys. Any more questions? Anything at all? The questions that you put out on here are fantastic. It does. I personally, hopefully you agree, but I personally think it makes these live streams. I know people seem to have a real interest in this business, in this creator economy, or YouTubering. And I love talking about it. I'm not a master at all. And relatively speaking, I'm still a newbie in this industry. But it's my full-time thing now. So as a result of that, I've learnt a lot in quite a short space of time. But I do love talking about it. And there isn't really anything that you can ask me which I'm not going to answer, unless it relates to an NDA'd product or a sponsored partner agreement or something. That's fine. I have to be careful talking about certain numbers, but apart from that, I'll answer anything basically. Which social media platform serves your business the best? Well, YouTube is technically a social media platform, Mike, so I'd say YouTube, but that's probably unfair. Serves my business the best. Depends what you mean by serves. So I suppose one thing to bear in mind that beyond YouTube, I only really use Twitter Instagram, and TikTok. It's only those 3. I don't use Facebook. I don't like Facebook. Came off it a little while ago for different reasons, but, it's getting to that stage now where you're thinking a lot of people are talking about Facebook from a content, creator perspective. It does sound like possibly at some stage I might need to dive back in, but, out of those 3 that I use, they're all very different. So Twitter is very important from establishing my persona kind of thing. So, I'm very much myself on Twitter. So although everything you see on YouTube is still me, it's very produced, and edited, etc. Twitter is very much me, quite often having a bit of a laugh, getting, raising questions and things. And so that's very important as a brand, establishing my persona, my relatability. Um, Instagram is very important from a visual perspective and very important in terms of getting short form content out there. Very hard to grow on that platform, though, incredibly difficult. TikTok's interesting because I don't really care about TikTok, but somehow I've amassed 12,000 followers on there. And I mentioned earlier, some videos absolutely go off the charts on there. TikTok is the only platform that I've had a million plus view video, a couple actually. And several others have gone straight into the 100,000. So that is very important as a brand awareness platform. I suppose my answer, Mike, is that I can't pick one really. If TikTok disappeared, it wouldn't be the end of the world. I think I wouldn't want Twitter to go because a big part of Twitter for me is talking to other creators, and it's quite a nice little community on there that I've built. So, or that I'm part of. So that would be a shame if that went, definitely. Scott says, at this stage of your career as a content creator, what's your favorite part of the entire process? My favorite part, I think it's always been this actually. I think it's the editing. I don't really enjoy shooting A-roll, or very rarely enjoy it. It's really hard work, and for some reason, it's got harder the more videos I've made. B-roll, I don't mind shooting, but it can be a bit laborious. I'm not. All of this stuff is better than the work I've done previously, guys. I'm not moaning about any of it. I'm just trying to give you some context, really. But B-roll, like I say, can be a bit laborious sometimes and a bit paint by numbers. For instance, shooting B-roll of a phone is incredible. I dread having to do it because so many problems with doing it. One of them is that there's only so many shots you can get of a phone that don't look identical. The second thing is the whole using the phone, holding it and getting a shot either over your shoulder or top down, having to make sure you're not giving away, your WhatsApp chat groups and anything else you've got on your phone that you don't want people to see publicly. Nothing terrible, but you know what I mean. They're very personal devices. That's so frustrating, so annoying. So things like that, B-roll can be a bit annoying. So for me, editing is the thing where you get all that stuff's been done. So you've shot the A-roll, you've shot the B-roll, you've lobbed it all into Final Cut Pro, and you've got this blank canvas. And again, because I've got a very strict process that I go through for A-roll editing, B-roll editing, and polishing, etc., I follow the same thing each time, and it works. So I don't kind of look at it and think, "Oh God, where do I start?" I know exactly where to start and where to finish, basically. And the way that all that footage, all that disparate footage, and all the mistakes and stuff, all of that comes together, and all the rubbish gets taken out, and it all gets molded into this nice, tight thing, this video, this 8, 9, 10-minute video, that's really satisfying. It's the one reason really why I haven't outsourced editing. I enjoy it too much, I think, really. But yeah, that's definitely my favorite part. How long amount of footage do you edit a post down from? So if it's I suppose we're talking about the A-roll, really, the camera stuff. Generally speaking, most of my A-roll shoots last anywhere between 20 minutes. That's a very quick one, to be fair. On average, it's probably somewhere between 30 and 40 minutes. I've done some that have gone over an hour, and each time you have to get that down to eight, like I say, 8 to 10 minutes. But on average, it's probably 30 to 40 minutes. I think the one that I did this morning was about that. The one yesterday was that as well. So yeah, but again, because I know I have this process, it's not quite as big a job as it sounds to get that down. Scott says editing is sculpting. That's such a good analogy. It really is. It's like a digital version or visual version of sculpting a video into something that works. I love it. And what normally happens is that most of the footage that I shoot, I'm not normally that happy. Apart from I'm normally happy with B-roll, but the A-roll in particular, I'm very rarely happy with once I've finished. I always think that's gonna be a nightmare to edit. It's not gonna make sense. I'm gonna have to reshoot it. I've never had to do that. It's human nature, you worry about it every time, don't you? But I've never, ever had to do that. I've always put it into Final Cut Pro, and it's been fine. It's worked out great because the edit is where the magic happens, as they say. Um Phil says, "Wow, I struggle shooting a few lots of a few seconds, different type of content." That's a good point, actually, Phil. It depends what type of content you're making. Mine is very, very straight, talking to camera stuff. Yeah, there's different types of content which can result in much longer or much shorter shoots, basically. Right, guys, I think we're at the end of the questions. Thank you for sticking with me today. It's been a struggle this week, but this has made me feel better as always. Apologies again about the gravelly voice. I hope I haven't blown your eardrums or your speakers. And I hope the ChatGPT thing was interesting. That was off the back of my head. I thought, what can I talk about today? There we go. And yeah, AI came to the rescue. So, as always, guys, thank you for watching. If you're watching this in the future as well, thank you for clicking the play button. And if you get a chance, check out the Substack newsletter, which is in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, just give it a thumbs up because that helps this channel massively. And Solo Club is growing nicely at the moment. I'm really pleased with the way it's working out. So, but yeah, I'll be back next week at some stage. If you look at the list of lives, you'll see what the schedule is. I will play around with the timing, I think, just to see if we can get a few more people on. But yeah, in the meantime, guys, have a fantastic rest of your day or evening, wherever you are, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers, guys.